Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Under-20 Rugby Championship. This one, New Zealand versus Argentina. Now, the New Zealanders, they got themselves a very narrow win over Australia in round one, whereas for Argentina, they didn't have a great start to the Rugby Championship. That first half up against South Africa was nowhere near the level that they wanted to play, but they came out in the second half. They put in a decent fight, and now it's a very different looking team here up against New Zealand, so it's very difficult to predict what exactly is going to happen here. New Zealand also making a few changes, but overall an exciting first round of this Under-20 Rugby Champs. Looking through at the starting lineup for the Kiwis: Ethan Webber at number 1, Josh Finley at 2, and Alexander Hewitt slots in at number 3. Alex Arnold comes into the locking duo rather than Max Farley, but Jake Frost keeps his spot at 5. Logan Pratt, Kobe Brownlee, and then Finn McLeod as the loose forward trio. So compared to last week, we don't see a Caleb Woodley in terms of the starting lineup. They've actually made quite a few changes on the bench as well, where you don't see the familiar faces per se of what we saw in round number 1. Charlie Sinton and Micah Muliaina, they will both keep their starting lineup spots though. JD van der Vesterhuizen is out there on the left wing. A lot of people excited to see what that man can do. The captain, Haki Wiseman at number 12 with Oliver Gurin at number 13. Jay Reihana moves into the starting lineup as the 14. And Cohen Norrie, the man who scored the first try of the first half and the first try of the second half, he is still there as that number 15. In the chat, we have got good kind of stupid o'clock, says Jasmine. Yeah, this game kicking off at midnight here in New Zealand. So a nice starting hour per se on a Monday morning, which is going to be absolutely brutal. But we have also got another game just around the corner. That is going to be South Africa versus Australia. That should be a very intriguing game. Currently in the points department, South Africa sit at the top of the bunch out of everyone in this Rugby Championship under-20s. They have got 5 points. New Zealand have got 4, and Australia got themselves the losing bonus point up against New Zealand as well. Now, I will also mention this competition, compared to some of the ones that we're seeing overseas, this one you need 3 or more tries than your opposition. That gets you the winning bonus point, whereas in some comps, it's just as soon as you get the 4, you get that bonus point, but not this one. Got to really cement a solid win like we saw from South Africa against Argentina. We have got there Erica said, our own Hamish, welcome in. You are doing extremely well. They are just mentioning that 6 change for New Zealand in the starting lineup. For Argentina, they've gone a little bit more hectic in terms of their starting changes. Sebron in the front row alongside Cuneo as the 2, and the starting 3 who did get to start in the last game as well. It is Salinas Malia, I believe, as that tight head prop. Pascal Viale in the locking duo alongside Benavides. And then in the loose forward trio, or lost forward, I guess you could almost use a pun there, Franco Mariza as the 6, Geronimo Sorondo at number 7, and Federico Torre, he finishes the lineup, or the 4-pack, as that number 8 in the 9 and 10 combination. Again, so many changes for this Argentinian side. I will mention Pedro Cole. He has moved from 12 to 13. He is also now captain due to the changes in the loose forwards. They got Simon Pfister into the starting lineup rather than making his way off the bench. And then Avaca as well as Ortiz both getting an opportunity here to show what they can do for Los Pumas. Hello, everyone. Should be a win for the UABs. It should be, but you just never know. Like I mentioned, this is a very different looking Argentinian lineup. In fact, like they've said, one guy in the starting lineup alongside Pedro Cole are the 2 who stay in the starting lineup. Everyone else is different for this Argentinian team. Afternoon, Hamish. Wet grey cold Cape Town, says Ruth. And also, hello, Hamish. Would week be enough for Argentina to change things? Definitely. They've changed their lineup, and this, for all we know, could be a stronger side than we saw take to the field up against the South Africans, but they are just making their way out onto the field now. The Pumitas, the youngsters, getting ready to go. The older Argentine team, the seniors, they have been going not too bad throughout the last 12 to 24 months. I'm going to build momentum into that Rugby World Cup. I don't know whether or not any of these young men will be in that environment for 2027, but 2031 is certainly one of those years that we could see a lot of these under-20s get themselves the big chances. Looking through quickly at the round 1 fixtures, New Zealand were able to beat Australia, like I mentioned, 34 points to 29. 48-21 looks quite good compared to how it looked like it was going to be going at halftime. We saw South Africa score, I believe it was maybe about 5 tries uncontested by the Argentines, but Argentina actually having a really solid second half, giving themselves that 48 points to 21 loss. These games are also not 9 days away. They are taking place in only around 6. Argentina versus Australia, and I believe the game that will determine the Rugby Championship, it is South Africa versus New Zealand. Last year, it was an absolute thriller. It was 48 points to 45, almost 100 points out there on the field between the teams. But in the end, New Zealand were able to get themselves the win. We have got there your thoughts on Leinster's win yesterday. Solid at times, nerve-wracking at others, I would say is the perfect way to describe it. Toulon, they fought hard in the final moments, but unfortunately, they didn't make the most of the time when Leinster were down a couple men. They then got themselves yellow-carded, so when it became 14-13 rather than 15-13, that was just when the momentum felt like it was shifting. Plus, Leinster being able to get that try while with 13 on the field, I think was the confidence booster they needed to carry them to the victory. Now, I will mention there was the overlap between Champions Cup and Under-20 Rugby Championship. We're going to be doing the main commentary for the Under-20 South Africa versus Australia game, but we are going to be giving updates of the Champions Cup, Bordeaux versus Bath, let you know exactly who makes their way through to the next stage of that competition. But the Argentines, it looks like they have come out in numbers in terms of the crowd to be able to support this young team. They had some great attendance numbers from day number 1 of the Under-20 Rugby Championship. The beauty of it is because all the games take place from the same location, you get yourself that double-header pass and you just go and enjoy a good old day of rugby. Wild Lobster says Big Rig there. And we have got there, hit the like button please, says Ruth. It is because Wild Lobster said hi earlier on, Big Rig as well. That's where the comment comes from. We have got there, hello all you rugby rockers tuning into Hamish, says Ruth. And what's your danger been in each team, says Ruth. Well, based off the first match, I would say that Sinton is one of the big keys for the Kiwis, just to be able to keep this back line as well as the full-pack in the right place, right time, getting those passes where he needs them to be. Haki Wiseman, I'm expecting a bigger game from him here than we saw in the first match. I think he did all right up against the Australians, but there'll be a few of the men in this back line looking to really cement themselves in terms of that starting spot up against South Africa. I've mentioned about rotating being a really important thing for these under-20s guys. Some teams will stick with pretty similar lineups for all 3 of their matches. I think that Australia have proven that, New Zealand to a certain extent, and South Africa with the selection that they've gone with. Charlie Sinton says Roof there. What's happening in the Dragons game? If I'm honest with you, I completely forgot it was happening. But 24 minutes in, 3-0 for Montpellier. That's actually kind of close. Fair play to the Dragons. They might be able to do it again. If my surname was Frost, I'd call my kid Jack rather than Jake. Maybe he didn't want that. It's like the Harry Potter situation, isn't it? Maybe he didn't want that burden on the child. We have got there with the Box playing. The Aussies, they are playing them same location, and that game has taken place in 2 hours, 10 minutes time. What's the score? New Zealand versus Argentina. They haven't started yet. They are kicking off in around 2 minutes time. So still got to wait a little bit longer before we do see any of the rugby. But of course, do let me know your score predictions for this matchup, ladies and gentlemen. Can New Zealand make it 2 from 2, or will Argentina fight back and get themselves their first win of the Under-20s Rugby Championship? Are you covering the Bath game? We are going to be doing the main commentary for South Africa, Australia's Under-20 game, but we are going to be giving updates all throughout in terms of every moment that is substantial for that Bordeaux versus Bath match. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a co-stream. Going to have both of them up on the screen. Going to be talking about both of them, but it's just going to be called the South Africa versus Australia one. 48 points to 12, New Zealand win, says Hemi there. And where is the location? It is in Kaperka, which name I can't say still. We have got their tasty roast beef and spicy rice when roasted veg selection for lunch, says Ruth. And 8-0 for Montpellier, right. So just as we check to see how they're doing, yep, they just scored a converted try. That's not ideal. That was terrible timing. And we may have just jinxed the Dragons by even checking their score. But the songs, or the national anthem, have been sung. Looks like now the two sides actually have to change sides. New Zealand are going to be going from left to right in the early stages of this matchup. They need a much better start to this contest, the Argentines, than they had up against South Africa. They fought back valiantly in that second 40. but it just wasn't quite enough to get the job done. Let's go to the RG, says Rugger. And then come on, South Africa, says Rugby Itch. Their big game up against the Aussies just around the corner. That could be an intriguing game. Toulon win cost the game. I think that Toulon had more than just one moment that cost them throughout that matchup. They should have been able to capitalise on the two-man advantage and didn't really. They should have been able to start their fight back quicker than 15 minutes remaining in the game. I think they'll be kicking themselves because they probably got a lot closer than even they thought they would. But they just left it too late. Some of the subs should have come on 5 minutes earlier. Could have changed the game with Baptiste Serran and also Zach Mercer getting a few more minutes out there on the field to try and change it. Could have 2 Irish winners for the Champions and Challenge Cup, says Anthony. It is possible. There is also still the chance, though, that we could see 2 French winners in there as well, depending on what happens. Of course, Bordeaux coming in as the favourites. Montpellier, they are currently winning. We have got there Toulon had a lot of handling errors and silly penalties too, says Big Rig. And we go 37-18 as a score prediction there. And the Dragons game is a snooze fest, says Rugger. I remember maybe last year when my name used to say my mum's account, it was Kristen. But you actually butchered it sometimes. I probably did. Name pronunciation is not my strong suit, believe it or not. It is only because of the names that I have to study for these matches that I eventually get them right. So there's no URC this weekend? Correct. Yep. Next weekend, URC the week after, Champions Cup final and Challenge Cup final the week after that. And then back to URC playoffs the week after, right at the end of May. And good day all. Hope you're well, Hamish. Go New Zealand, says Purple Dragon. And Toulon fought bravely, but a bad loss. And also afternoon, Tim Rugby Itch. Hope you're okay, says Ruth. That is going to be the haka done for New Zealand here too. This match up just about to start. A little bit of a stare down between the two sides. Bit of anger being shown. There's one of the blokes who went past the rest of his teammates for New Zealand. I'm going to get that a little bit closer to Los Pumitas. It was actually Alexander Hewitt. He seems like he doesn't often play by the rules, the big man. He was putting in some huge shots as well in the last match up against the Australians. I would not be surprised if he does the same here. Boston Crone, one league. Let get away, usually the other way around, says Kiwi. And well done, Leinster, says cross-boarding. And went to Spa up the road, found vanilla chocolate chip muffins. I'll eat one for you till you get here, Hamish. I guess you're back in your boys. I think that Argentina, this team, I believe, will play better than we saw the team play up against South Africa. The nerves would have been settled, even though it is almost a completely different team. But I can see them doing better in this game, Argentina. Although last time when they played each other, they really did struggle, Argentina. Are they playing in Port Elizabeth? That is completely out of my geographical knowledge. But it's in Burka. So if that's in Port Elizabeth, then yes. But I don't know. Who was golf? I assume that's how was golf. Golf was all right. I did not play well, though. Turns out getting only 3 hours of sleep affects the golf a little bit more than one would think, but it is kicked off by Argentina, and we are underway now for another match of the Under-20s Rugby Championship. Running this one forward was Finn McLeod from that number 8 jersey today. A few changes for the Kiwis, about 6, I think, in the starting lineup. Micah Muliaina driven backwards, the nephew of Mills. That's a big counter-ruck from the Argentines, but the ball still comes out the back for New Zealand, who will kick this one downfield and into touch. Thanks, finally, says Bruce. There is also a thing called Google, Bruce, if we were a bit too slow for you. We have got there pronounced Kapurka. I know there's a click, but I can't quite get it sometimes. It depends on the hour of the morning. It is in Port Elizabeth, changed the name a couple of years ago. Says Ronald. And they need to put this tournament in Takaha, the Crusader Stadium. Well, it's quite surprising we haven't had a leg of the Under-20 Rugby Championship in either Argentina or New Zealand. Because there are the 4 teams. This is the second year in a row it's been in South Africa, so I don't know whether or not location-wise it's just easier to have all the teams here, whether maybe time zones, trying to get them adjusted for the Under-20 World Championship later on. I'm going away to the left-hand side. Ball in the hands of Argentina around that halfway line. Moving on to the left. Like I said, quickest start here for Los Pumitas is the key. That one's going to be knocked on, but it is a penalty awarded to Argentina. Who's on table, or top of the table, under 20. South Africa currently with 5. New Zealand in second on 4. Australia in third on 1. as they were able to get themselves the losing bonus point. But as we know from the first couple rounds, New Zealand last year, they drew with Australia in the opening contest, and then they went on to win it. It sometimes is a little bit deceptive with some of those big matches happening later on. I'd say that for both New Zealand and South Africa, their big key rivalry of this Under-20 Rugby Championship has to be what was the final of the championship last year in terms of the overall World Championship, and that is the Box versus the ABs. Like how Argentina keep playing home games at Twickenham for big bucks. See, here's Big Rig. Now nicely taken at the line-out time for Pumas. And obviously the Box cross-boarding. Maybe he just wanted to hear it being said that South Africa for now were sitting number one. And to be fair, I think this is their tournament for the taking. They haven't won the Under-20 Rugby Championship as of yet in the first two inaugural years. We've seen New Zealand get the victory twice, but this is a very young New Zealand team, and I have to say South Africa's side is absolutely stacked for this Under-20 champ. But now nice step there from Argentina. They're only a couple metres out from the Kiwi line. Federico Serpa, the man running it forward. Now only about 2 metres from the try line, but already a much better start for this Argentine team. 2 metres from the line. Going to be throwing their big number 7. In this case, I believe it is Guillermo Sorondo. Now a step is just going to be held up there. Unlucky for Luciano Avaca. Unfortunately, didn't quite have the size. Got carried back about 10 metres. New Zealand under 85 kgs, leading 25 points to 10. As South Africa must host the World Cup, says Rugger. I think it sounds like 2035 was when they were kind of keen, but I can't remember what the outcome was in terms of the hosting discussion, because, that was almost a knock-on the ground from Argentina. I know that USA have it in 2031, but I'm not too sure whether or not it's heading south or north. Oh, what just happened to the referee? She just fell over. I don't even know if anyone touched her there, but the ball has been stolen by New Zealand. Hopefully she is all right. It could have been a rolled ankle or something along those lines, hunting the Pumas. Now going away to the left-hand side, moving it on, out into the hands of the winger Van der Vesterhuizen, who will kick this one downfield. We'll kick it into touch. Didn't quite get the angle on it that he would have been after, so it is going to be about 25 metres out from the line that the Argentines have got the line-out throw, but they have started with intent here with the way that they are currently playing. Ref is swooning. Oh, the strapping young lad, says Big Rick. As South Africa top World Cup winner, but not getting any love, says Rugger. Although they have hosted the World Cup before, haven't they, South Africa? So I guess they're looking at different places that haven't had that opportunity. Although saying that, they went to Australia for 2027. When was the last World Cup South Africa hosted? Was it before or after Australia's 2023? Might have been before, was it? Was it 1999 or 1995? Might have been 95. Now rolling more here for Los Pumitas. 5 minutes into this contest, going away to the left-hand side, charging forward. It was Benjamin Ortiz. They have got the captain call on the outside, and that is going to be the wide cutout pass, just a slip there. And they'll go back now for the penalty. And much too long ago, says Rugger Bugger. But the thing is, doesn't that also, in a way, make it much more impressive, the accolades of South Africa? The fact that they are doing it away from home? Because, you win your home tournament, people go, oh, yeah, it's because it's home field advantage. Whereas the Box haven't been able to say that. And the ones that they have been winning, they've been in Japan, they've been in France. So I feel like if anything, it's more of, like I said, a feather in the cap. One's going to be put into touch, though, by Argentina, who have won themselves the penalty and have opted for the kick towards the corner. They won against New Zealand, says Clint D. 6 minutes in, Argentina looking to find themselves a victory in this 80 minutes of Under-20 Rugby. South Africa Rugby does not want to bid. Rumour has it, I do not see it financially viable. Says Ronald. Now set piece off the rolling maul. Breaking off the back again. And there's Federico Torre. They're not a mile away here, Argentina. New Zealand, that was almost a little bit dirty in the breakdown. One of the players trying to rip that ball away or slightly slap it onto his side, and there is another penalty advantage. That is for New Zealand being offside. It seems like only a matter of time. Argentina with a pass on the outside. Another step coming from, would have been Luciano Avaca running up the middle. They're calling for obstruction, New Zealand, but the try has been scored by the Argentines, and this very different looking side has crossed the try line here. Juan Premier has managed to score it. Scott Berger was 2007. Yes, but we want to be rewarded, says Rugga Bugger. So, like, what, rewarded for hosting, or to host, I guess. Maybe the USA, that's the logic they're going with. And that's why, their best chance of qualifying is to host the thing. I would love to have a World Cup in South Africa, but we just don't have the infrastructure and money to host it, says WLK. And yeah, vamos Pumas, says Ruth there too. Yeah, brilliant start to this match for Argentina. 7 minutes of attack, although they're checking this now. And they are going upstairs. This is to see whether or not there was that obstruction on one of the New Zealand players. I was single in 1995. I think I did have a boyfriend, but I think I broke up with him and had no interest in rugby, says Jasmine. Yeah, I wasn't even born at that stage in 1995. Now, so there will be plenty of businesses to be made. South Africa is prime tourist location, says Rugga Bugger. Right, this one's going upstairs already. TMO involvement in this contest, and we are only sitting this far into the game, less than 8 minutes. As the TMO under 22, says Big Rig. Not that we know of. I think they have got more experienced referees. Ben Krause, the South African, will be the TMO in charge of this one. They're just checking to see for obstruction. It was on the number 7, Kobe Brownlee here. Where is it? So he was ready to make the tackle. He does get taken past the breakdown by Benjamin Ortiz, but it's whether or not he's counted as part of that breakdown. There was already an advantage in favour of the Argentines, though. Always BPE. Stop making us feel old, says Big Rig. Right. Clear and obvious they have called it. So it's going to be no try. Number 12, Blue, tackling the man off the ball, Benjamin Ortiz, but they did already have that penalty advantage. So they're going to go right back to that. It sounds like an Australian accent from the referee. Not that matters at all. They were talking about it in the first round, how there was a Argentine referee for the Argentina-South Africa game. The commentators had to keep on clarifying that he wouldn't be biased towards Argentina, which was weird. But this one's going to be kicked into touch by Argentina again here. And in 1995, I would be playing Sonic 3 on Sega Mega Drive, says Big Rig. There you go. That is, I think I actually had a Sega when I was younger, or at least my parents did. I got to play it every once in a while. I'm not sure whether or not I would have played. I played a Sonic game, New Zealand, steal the line out. They have been trapped inside of their own half. The first 8 minutes of this contest, Charlie Sinton looking off to the right-hand side. Looks like he's going to try and use his forwards, create an angle for that kick to be put downfield. Argentina still trying for the turnovers in the breakdown with Geronimo Sorondo. I've got Aussie blood. Could you imagine my horror when I found out? Says Rugga Bugger. I don't think being Australian's that bad, and that's coming from a New Zealander. Like, it's always funny when the New Zealand and Australia rivalry comes out. And people are like, I hate Australia. And then they're like, oh, but I've got my holiday booked for Melbourne in 2 weeks, and I'm very excited because Australia's lovely. And it's slightly a knock on there for Argentina. Bit of a confusing one, but Australia's very nice in terms of location-wise. Sunny, bit warm. Wales 1-2, says Big Rig. And the Welsh let Nigel Owens ref a Wales game once, says Big Rig. But just the opportunity there. Cuneo, that line out in straight, but then just that knock on afterwards. New Zealand may try and run this one out rather than kicking it. Possession is 78% in favour of Argentina. We better make sure that that scoreboard gets rid of that try too. It is still 0-0. I mean, technically we are all Africans if you go far back or back far enough. But a portion of South Africa blokes aren't too keen on Aussies, says Rugga Bugger. There's a portion of South Africans who I know who aren't too keen on New Zealand either, to be fair. Or Ireland, or England, or France, or Scotland, or pretty much anywhere. But each to their own. I know some South Africans who have travelled the world and absolutely loved it too. They love Perth though, don't they, South Africans? Quite a few South Africans in Perth, from what I've heard. Western Australia, that is. Now line out throw here for for Argentina again. Okay, the gap is too big in the line out, says the referee. Told to close it that little bit more. That's completely closed now. And Argentina haven't thrown this ball in and actually walked away from the line out. Okay, referee telling the Argentines to get into the line out, and I don't think she was going to tell them again because sounding relatively frustrated about it. Running it forward now was Benjamin Ortiz. Well, let's be honest, the only thing New Zealand has over Australia are the mountains in rugby, says Katzenell. Yeah, it depends. Some would say the people, but it once again depends on who you're talking to. And yeah, just abortion, says Rugabugger. Oh dear, no try what? Yeah, so it was taken away due to the obstruction in front, except Canada for some reason. And I'm English, everyone hates us. So what is it about Canada that makes them like have a bit of a mutual treaty with the English in terms of liking this? Is it just because Canada are rumoured to be very nice? Maybe. But now it's going to be scrum feed here for New Zealand. 11 minutes into the contest. And once again, they haven't really got any sort of momentum going throughout the early stages of this match. They are still waiting for their first opportunity. 95 was the biggest street party in South African history. Even my deadbeat town experienced their first and only street party. It was insane, says WLK. Who would you like to see in the Super Rugby final? See, it's a tricky one because I'm of the belief, like, you want to beat the previous champions, but it doesn't seem like, unless they win a couple underdog games, the Crusaders may not be in the final. So at the moment, Chiefs, Hurricanes, that would be a pretty good one, definitely with how those two sides have played. The fact that they went to Golden Point, quite a few, there are even South African Dukey shops there. Says Gatsanel. And that is going to be the penalty to New Zealand in the scrum. Argentina going in on the side, driving on the angle. So New Zealand now, for the first time of this match, will be able to get out of their own half. I mentioned about how Argentina, drastic changes compared to that game up against South Africa. Very hard to judge this Argentine side with what happened last week. But it seems like the coach has pretty much rotated as much as he can, give everyone the opportunity, and then I would say go with the best combined side in their third match up against the Australians. This is also a feeder for the World Championships later on. That's not straight from New Zealand's line out, so I take that back about their first opportunity inside of Argentina's half. Are you very generous to the Pumas? In what regard? Like, as in praising them? But yeah, like I said, they've got a very different team here. So a lot of these young players, they didn't even get a chance last week. So it's pretty rough to say that this side isn't going to have a chance here when half of them didn't even experience what it was like to be on the field. Even though we lose, you can tell our under-20s are improving even from years back, says Katzenell. I'll hit him forward. The scoreline, yeah, the scoreboard doesn't want to take that one back for Argentina for some reason. And drinking Fanta juice and then wearing braces is very painful. Yeah, viral infection for about 10 weeks. Oh, sorry, Fanta juice. Oh, wait, is it Fanta juice or Finta? Is it like that you've misspelled it, or is Finta something that I don't know about? Now, sitting here about 40 metres out from the line. New Zealand back in possession. They haven't really had a chance to use their back line, only their forwards. Ethan Webber hits that ball up. Now Charlie Sinton. Away to the right-hand side, Micah Muliaina. On the outside to Finn McLeod. And we have got the Ahoy H. Says one Pierre, welcome in. You are doing well. Backline movement here for New Zealand. Still unable to get into the opposition half. As the most burger commentator I have seen, says Jaden. Now back across to the left-hand side. Still going forward. Alexander Hewitt. Looks like a little bit slow getting back up to his feet there, Sevron. Now New Zealand to get an attack going. This would be disheartening for Argentina too, to be fair. If they did attack for most of the start of this game just to then concede the first points of the day. They almost had that try, the one that the scoreboard are still giving them credit for. I do a burger right now. Says Big Rig, that one's going to be kicked high by New Zealand. Chasing after it, looking into the sun. The Argentine fullback unable to take it cleanly, but now bounces back to his teammate, running down the wing. Missed tackle from New Zealand. Offload on the inside. Sinton has to make the tackle. Now sniping, run forward past there to the captain, Pedro Cole, and they'll go back for the scrum again. Forget the rugby, let's all get some burgers. Says Big Rig. Fanta strawberry. I don't think they have that here unless you get it imported, because I think it's different type of sugar that they use for the strawberry Fanta. Well, we're just seeing it there. Cole just getting that one forward from his teammate. Had it not been for that, could have been very interesting for Argentina and potentially could have found their first try of the day. I'm wondering whether or not the 5 on the scoreboard, once again, it is 0-all. I'm thinking that's either going to disappear when someone scores again, or it will randomly disappear in like the 25th minute if it's still 0-all. Vander's on some major advertising here right now. I've seen it everywhere. The whole Wanta Fanta. It doesn't really make sense. It makes sense writing it, but it doesn't make sense in the pronunciation department, does it? But I guess that's marketing as long as you're reading it as Wanta Fanta. Wanta Fanta. We're expecting more from the Kiwis. There's Rugga Bugga. Well, we've got to remember they've also changed a few things in their lineup. 6 changes for them. And again, you underestimate this Argentine side maybe a little bit much in terms of these changes. Some of them, like I was saying, they are better than I think the starting lineup that we saw up against South Africa. Seems like more intent. The likes of Avaka already having his hands on the ball multiple times. Now going short side. Even this man, Juan Premier, ball on the inside. They score the try in the corner. Argentina, Federico Serpa goes over. And that is now going to be the 5 points on the board for the Argentines. Argentina is doing well, however, they have to finish, says WLK. Fanta short for Fanatic, says a rugger there. Fanta short for Fanatic. Is that like another one of their slogans? Because it doesn't quite work, does it? Because I guess it's not quite the same spelling. No obstruction that time. No, they got it out wide. Beautiful passing between the 9 and 10. And then to finish it off, Argentina reap the rewards. And they get the lead. Do you like Tunisia? I have never been. I have never seen anything that's happened in Tunisia. I know their flag. That's literally everything I know about the country. Quite a lot of South African rugby legends who have sons and nephews playing professional footy, like Skalkberger, Rohan Pienaar, Cobus Reinach, etc. There are many in New Zealand and other nations. Yeah, quite a few. I mean, in this competition alone, you always see those next generation players. Someone like Liam Jack from last year. There was, who else did they have in the second generation? I think there's even a few on this side. Jay Rehana. And we have got there, no, it's not Hamish, thanks for pointing it out. Lucky I didn't say what I was going to say about it then, isn't it? And we have there, they do ads where people, or someone drink a Dr. Pepper on a Titanic. It was funny, says Big Rig, and the Baby Box will win the Rugby Championship, says Cameron. And the one that sticks with me is, what's the worst that can happen for Dr. Pepper? I always support the Pumas as my second team and the New Zealand. So you love this competition then. You've got most countries covered except for Australia, we've learnt you're not the biggest fan of. And about 20 metres out from their own line here, Argentina. They are leading by 5, but they did miss that conversion attempt. Is there Popeyes in New Zealand? I think so, but nowhere near me. Like, you're probably looking at North Island to be able to go to a Popeyes. Unless maybe there's one in the South Island that I haven't learnt about yet. Maybe there's one up in the big cities. And the verdict is, it doesn't know. By the looks of it. But now, ball is on the side of Argentina yet again. Oh, there's one in Hamilton. Says Jasmine. Hamish, 2022 was your prime. Do you think I should have quit while I was ahead? I've let myself downhill since then, you think? Hey, Hamish, good to see you again, says the Grey. And yeah, it's good to see you as well. Rugby Championship well and truly in the swing of things for these under-20s. Another game just around the corner between South Africa and Australia. That one's going to be kicked in behind. Now waiting for the bounce of the ball. Nicely taken to the back for New Zealand with Micah Muliaina. Although, he's kicked it out on the full. Another mistake made. But this game is on Sky Sport 4 here in New Zealand. What happens to John Olomu's boys? We're geared for professional tennis, if I remember correctly. I actually don't know. To be honest, I don't know whereabouts they've ended up. Haven't really heard anything from New Zealand, or at least on my end. Aussies are going to get pummeled, says Rugga Bugger. How would you feel if you're commentator for the Bundesliga? Probably pretty rough, because I haven't watched a game of the Bundesliga, I think, ever in my life. So they would be doing a really weird choice picking me. As that Moles Muliaina's son, his nephew. We did learn last week, but now kick downfield from Micah Muliaina. This one not going into touch on the full, but 20 minutes into the game, Argentina still leading. Ooh, that was an ugly clean out there on Simon Pfister. He's kicked it out on the full. They may just check. Okay, it's going to be a penalty against New Zealand, against Jay Rehana there. Do you think Bath will win? It's really raining in Bordeaux. That suits Bath for sure, says Kahu. Yeah, it may stop Bordeaux's attack a little bit, but still a pretty hard side to beat Bordeaux in Bordeaux. You did an Australian or New Zealand curriculum at school? Well, I'm from New Zealand, born and raised, so the New Zealand curriculum. I know that they've got a little bit of a change in Australia compared to us, like in terms of the TAF side of things. Arm wrestle going on here. Says the Grey 619. And at the moment, New Zealand, I would have to say, are probably losing this arm wrestle just at this current point in time in this matchup. Okay, they're saying they need to be a little bit more careful. Oh, hang on. Became penalty only for a start, but now it sounds like it's going to become yellow card for New Zealand, perhaps. 4 points separating the top three sides in the men's sevens. 2 rounds left. Can Argentina and Spain realistically beat the Box to claim the title? I would say yes. Like, at the end of the day, the benefit is we've only had one leg of the championship. So whatever happens next competition, which is only a couple of weeks away, geez, he was flying through the air, J. Ray Honey. He got a lot of height on that one. He live streamed the Bath game or the other game, Australia versus South Africa. So we are going to be doing Australia versus South Africa, but during that match, giving updates on the Bath Bordeaux game. So it's going to be pretty much a co-stream. It's just going to be called South Africa versus Australia. That's pretty much the gist of it. Okay, penalty only, 15 metres in from where the ball was kicked out on the full is going to be the penalty to Argentina. Yellow card, no yellow card there. How do you control yourself when you're already in the air, says Rugger. Yeah, I think the point is to not be in the air colliding with them. Ideally, you want to go in on a slight angle so that you don't land on the kicker in the ideal scenario. Jay Rehana, though, he jumped from a long way back. But it is going to be now the Argentine penalty. And Joaquin, nice name, very Spanish, says Ruth. Now a kick towards the touchline. This one will be right in the corner for Argentina, who are again putting a little bit more pressure on the Kiwis than some would have been anticipating. Very different side. I have to keep on reiterating that. I think that 2 men got to keep their starting spots compared to last week's game. But I think these changes are for the better. This could be a very similar side to what we see out on the field up against Australia in the next contest. Another knock on in the line out. Unfortunately for Argentina, they are just putting that ball down at the wrong time. We go there, Pamita showing up strong. And you can't charge down a kick coming in on an angle. Says Rugger Bugger. Well, you kind of can. Like, you just got to make sure that when you jump up, you just slightly go, to the side. You just can't clean out the guy kicking a ball. That's been in the law book for a long time. And a lot of players have gone for charge downs and not taken the guy out. Used to have long hair back then. What happened to it? I chopped it off because it didn't look great. So that was the main plan. Good morning, Hamish. Hope you recharged from your day. Ooh, I don't know about recharged. And I'm always right. I can tell that. You certainly don't ever think you're wrong. We have got the high roof high ball as well, says Joe Man. Now scrum feed here for New Zealand inside of their 22 again. Charlie Sinton. Put this ball in. Going away to the left-hand side. Looks like they're going to run this one out, New Zealand, or at least try to. Haki Wiseman, the captain. Oh no, now into the pocket, and New Zealand will go for the kick downfield with Micah Muliaina. One's gone into touch again. I honestly see Bath beating Bordeaux. I hope it's a good game. And normally games that we don't cover end up being really good. So I'm hopeful. And we are going to be still watching that one in the corner. How did the golf go, by the way? I hope it stayed sunny. Yeah, it stayed nice. My mum absolutely wiped the floor with me. Like, I won the first hole. We were playing a bit of match play. Half the second hole. And then she just put the foot on the throat and just kept on going. And we only were playing 9 holes. She was up by about 5 by the 7th. So I was done and dusted. I can't stop thinking about the New Zealand tour, says Rugger Bugger. It's going to be interesting. See how it goes. You can just pretend you let her win for brownie points. Well, that's what she was saying. She says that, like, I don't have a competitive enough, like, mindset. Or, like, I don't do well in competition because I'm too much of a softie, she says. So, yeah, maybe without even knowing it, that's why I hit a ball into a paddock. Because I needed her to win. Afternoon all says, hey, no, welcome in. Now, trying to charge forward here, although getting driven sideways, New Zealand with some good physicality there, but Argentina just staying within the field of play. They have been dominant throughout this first 23 minutes. New Zealand just unable to get their ball back. Now going to the right-hand side. At first, I thought Hamish was a family guy who would have wife and kids because he looks 35, says Jaden. I think that's just from sitting here for so many hours. It's aged me badly, some would say. But about 12 minutes, 12 meters out from the line. Now, Salinas Malia. Now, back to the left-hand side. Good carry forward and another advantage against New Zealand, that time for a high tackle. Well, New Zealand are going to have to pull finger here or else this could be a bad-looking scoreline. By the end of it, Montpellier making me happy, says Aino. Now, tried a weird inside pass. Wasn't quite the communication with Pedro Cole. And New Zealand are now getting warned for repeat infringements. This New Zealand under-20s team doesn't seem well coached, says Al Flan. And tip for your mum or girlfriend or sister's birthday, get them something generic. Then give them the actual good present on a random day for no reason and say it's just to be nice, says Big Rig. We have got there, why don't you do a session high or drunk? Give us something to laugh about. Or I could just not. Did you ever accidentally sleep on your chair after the live stream? No, this chair is purposely very uncomfortable. My back will not thank me in a few years. It already doesn't, but like it's, you can't even see it because of the scoreboard. You can slightly see it on that side. It's like wooden. It's got like the thinnest cushion. So if I fell asleep on this, it would be through pure exhaustion. They are going to take on the 3 points here. Argentina, 24 minutes into the contest. They will be lining up the 3 points here. We have got there the steam bites, says Jasmine. Have you went to church earlier on? I went golfing. Does that kind of count? It was around the same time as church was running, I believe. I need to get a computer chair, Hamish. I thought about it, but then, I don't know. I feel like I'd fall asleep on it because of the late nights. Lining up the shot here for Federico Serpa. Currently sitting 0 from 1 today. This one's a nice, easy one. He's taking up every second that he can, yeah, Hamish. If you're going to stream all day, you need a comfy chair, dude. Says Big Rig. That one's going to be kicked over. And it's going to make the score now 8 points to 0. Get one of those medicine balls to sit on, Brew. That wouldn't work too well, though, because the green screen, what you guys can't see is it's there. It leans on the chair. So leaning a green screen on a medicine ball would definitely be an interesting... Wait, do you mean a yoga ball? One of those medicine balls, they're only they're like that big and they weigh about 5 kgs, don't they? Now this one's going to be kicked off by New Zealand, who are down by 8. Get it for free from one of those fancy sponsors. I haven't had a sponsor since 2021. So I don't think we're getting one of those anytime soon either. Your chair looks like a dining table chair. An understandable route, says A&O. Now cross kick attempted here from Argentina. Beautifully taken out wide for Luciano Avaca. He's covered a lot of ground, and now Argentina doing the same. The chip in behind. It's out on the full. If that one had stayed in the field of play, it could have been Argentina's second. So right, yoga balls, says Roger. A yoga ball just roll on the grass. Outside does the same. Watch your back posture and ergonomics are vital. My back's buggered and I regret not taking care early in life, says Rugger Bugger. Yeah, although if I was taking more care, I don't think all-nighters and constantly not sleeping for so long would be a good idea. Oh, he's tried to milk the penalty there. Referee says he was retreating, so they don't manage to get the penalty there. The ball's still on the side of Argentina. Again, they have had all of the ball throughout the early stages. Enjoying the match, says Ruth. And there too. Now looking for a bit of a counter ruck here. New Zealand unable to get the possession. Now bump off Argentina with the captain Pedro Cole. Another step. Oh, the Kiwis are going to get yelled at halftime, I can tell you that already. Vano, does Tim have a girlfriend? Not that I know of. Get a girlfriend, Hamish, all will be well. Says Joe Mann. Yeah, that didn't quite work last time. That was back in 2021 as well, I think. Maybe it's like some trend that if I have a girlfriend, we get a sponsor. That's a knock on there. And now New Zealand back with the ball in hand with Logan Platt. I'm going later South Africa and Australia game. Hopefully it's a decent one. Those two, interception, but they will go back for the original knock on. Anyone want to sponsor me a Cairo visit? Says Rugga Bugger. And last year we beat Argentina under 20, 75-21. It might be the reverse this year, says our F-Flan. Or L-Flan, I should say. If Hamish gets a girlfriend, we won't see him. They'll be distracted, says Ruth. No, I don't think so. I think we ended up doing more streams when I got a girlfriend back in the day. But that was also slight downside, as during one of the live streams, she was very busy doing something else. And now she has a child because of it. Fun fact. You live in an isolated house, or does your parents live with you? My parents are also in the same house, yes. And why do you look a bit Chinese? No offense. I mean, at least you added no offense. And we have got the Hamish inspiring, says Roof. Hamish is fine. There's only half a screen visible, says Rugger. Looks like a little bit of a cut here on one of the Argentine players' eyebrows. That got dark fast, says Big Rig. Yeah, but it was a good game of the Rugby League World Cup, to be fair, so it was one that we didn't want to miss. Is it accurate? 79k subscribers for Kiwi Lads, not bad, bud. 100k in the near future. Congrats, brother. It is correct. I think we're about 3 away from 80k. So we're almost there, but we've hit the limbo stage of just waiting patiently for international rugby, I think. And anytime I don't post, we lose subscribers flat out. So that's not ideal. What was that matches box face you made? That matches box face you made. Now, handling errors. 6 from Argentina. Had it not been for those errors, that's a massive scrum. Although, once again, they have been penalised there for the big push from the Argentines. New Zealand with the backline movement. Now offloading, just losing a bit of momentum. Nori. They'll be tackled now. Argentina straight and off their feet, so they'll go back for the initial penalty. There's good intent shown by the Argentines across the board here. Apparently they score 8-0 after 30 minutes. That's why I was saying, seeing smaller channels get sponsored. Says Big Rig. And now, kicking towards the touch line. New Zealand will try and get something going here. If they can score before half time, that would be, I think, the ideal scenario for the Kiwis. To be within touching distance. Rehan are not happy with that kick. In fact, no, sorry, it was Muliaina who did kick that one out. People in attendance already with their Springbok kits on. Of course, the under-20 South African boys, they are playing in around an hour and 20 minutes' time. You should make a gangster Hano. Hamish, you should make a gangster Hano as your mandem. Tim is your sidekick. What are the conditions they're playing in? Actually, really nice. The sun is out. Looks like an ideal day for rugby, other than maybe the fact that both sides have to look into the sun at times throughout this contest. But it's really, you take that every day of the week over a rainy day. I would think for these youngsters, but currently New Zealand, the furthest up the field that they have been out there on the park. Little bit of a counter ruck and another penalty goes against Argentina. I think they're trying a little bit too hard now in the breakdown, the Pumitas side, trying to get that big steal. And we have got the attack is just off for New Zealand under-20s. Well, the attack, it almost hasn't happened, is the interesting one. And we have got there, still looking like rain here. Oops, clicked the wrong button in that scenario. 1 second, we were scrolling down. I was way behind. There we go. A backup email just for the channel, I'd say, not your main one. Says Big Rig, and New Zealand under-20s has such a soft forward pack. The thing is, plenty of companies message me. It's just none of them are actually the real companies. They're all like fake. We had one a while ago that was trying to get me to sign a document, but oh, that's a great run there from the Kiwis. They go over and it's held up. Not getting the grounding there for New Zealand, although the ref may want to have a second glance at this one. Finn McLeod. Big carry forward from him. Doing very nicely. I'm surprised they managed to cut him off. Yeah, just turning him around at the last moment. But yeah, there's like channels, or sorry, not channels, like scammers who will try and get you to sign your channel rights over to them. And then they just post whatever they want on your channel. Are they a long time to stay single? Make a plan, man. Says, listen, 101. It's not too bad being single, though. Comes with, in some case, less drama. Plus, I get no spare time on weekends, so that kind of makes it difficult. Sinton goes away to the right-hand side, passing it across there in the middle of the park. Beautiful Pearson run here from New Zealand. Passes to Sinton, dragged down 5 metres out from the line. This is already better than we're seeing from New Zealand the rest of the game. Haki Wiseman scores, and they get their first try. It's taken them 33 minutes almost to be able to cross over the line. And that was better from the boys, says F. Lanier. Much better build-up there for the Kiwis. And just making some meters is the big one there. Now let's go Argentina, looking good so far, says Sook. And there as well. But Haki Wiseman, man who does get himself over the try line. Ready to kick this ball. And it does go over. 7 points to 8. It's probably going to be the start of something here for New Zealand. Even just those couple line breaks from the loose forwards. They have made all the difference. UCCs keep going, babies. Says Jasmine there. Is that number 11 of the ABs of South African? I believe he has South African roots. Because I've seen quite a few people claiming him this week. With the fact that he was going to be getting himself the start here. So I'd assume there is the connection. Unless it's just like a last name. But I'm not sure what his parents' origin is. Maybe one of each, I'd assume. Maybe one South African, one New Zealander. Aren't saying New Zealand people are actually sleeping now. Probably. And I definitely should be too. We are going to be finishing the live stream at about 4. Pouring concrete at about 8. But Rugby Championship on, isn't it? So priorities have to be in the right position. About 5 metres out from their line, New Zealand. Not the position that they will want to be in. Now, kicking this one downfield will be Cohen Nori, who actually did take the shot at the post earlier on. Which is interesting, because I think Micah Muliaina did a lot of the kicking last matchup for New Zealand. Someone's got it sounds like a trombone or something at the ground. Or in fact, that might actually be the DJ, never mind. At the moment, as it stands, Argentina would be on 4 points, sitting in third on the overall Under-20 Rugby Championship. New Zealand would be in second, and South Africa would be in first, still with that game in hand, playing up against the Australians that little bit later on. Rolling maul, attempted again by Argentina, who have got themselves another penalty advantage. 35 minutes through. New Zealand looking to go through the middle of the rolling maul. That ball has been broken off the back. Even fooled the cameraman there. He was still watching them all after they had started using their backline. Cross, kick and play. Going for it out wide. And that one does go into touch. They'll go back for the penalty. And this now seems like it's going to be the yellow card for New Zealand. They were warned earlier on. Any more infringements down this end of the field, and they would find themselves going to the bin. Seems like that is going to be the case here now, though. How do you guys get the app with the name to be highlighted? Can't do it? Or do you need the one who was commenting on highlighted? I'm actually, to be honest, I have no idea, is my answer. I don't know how YouTube works, believe it or not. But anything to do with live chat and everything like that, I always get very confused. I think it also depends on the device that you're on. Sometimes it doesn't work. Argentina seems stronger than the ABs right now. I agree. I think that this Argentinian change in their lineup, as I said earlier on, is for the better. And I believe this will be similar to the lineup we see up against the Australians for their game next week. A variation in the rolling maul. But New Zealand's 5, Jake Frost taken from the field. But the Kiwis have gone through the middle of the maul there. They've been able to tie it up. There's an advantage, though, in favour, and a penalty try. That's going to be another yellow card. New Zealand will be down to 13. Or will they? Referee's calling for number 1, Ethan Webber. He is also going to the bin, and New Zealand now have got 2 men off the field. It worked for Leinster, but they weren't down by 8 at that stage. How do we have it there? Naughty to go to timeout, baby. Number 5, and now number 1. Ethan Webber also going to be making his way from the field. I know this is a bad New Zealand under-20 side. This has been a pretty poor showing from the under-20 Kiwis. Now they have a 10-minute period where they have to find a way. I don't know why the scoreboard won't give New Zealand their try as well. We're actually just going to grab that. See what we can do here. Where are we? Hang on. Grab that one. There we go. just make that adjustment on the fly, seeing as the scoreboard doesn't want to. Scrum only. Knock on is the call from the referee. And baby's getting smacked by the Kittens. And the Pumas strong, says Ruth. Yep. Very good team at the moment, these youngsters. Makes me wonder why this team wasn't selected last week. Maybe they should have looked at that a little bit more. Nice open space, passed on the outside. Haki Wiseman going to have a man all over him in the breakdown, but the ball still on the side of New Zealand, making an ex-Islanders assistant coach or assistant head coach. It's like giving someone a poison chalice, says Al Flan. The Little Pumas whipping the Little All Blacks currently. They are doing extremely well, Argentina, beating them by 8 points currently. And now they can really put that pressure on just before the end of the first half. New Zealand, though, looking to get an attack going with 13 on the field. And Argentina have given away the penalty advantage. Micah Muliaina, quick hands, drop ball. They'll go back for the penalty. If you're New Zealand here in this scenario, do you go with the 3 points with 2 minutes remaining in this first half? How did Argentina end up on 22? The scoreboard is very drunk today. I think what's happened is they've given Argentina New Zealand's points. Maybe they're unsure of who's actually playing for who. There we go. We'll fix that. Does Tano have access to ban someone from the channel when he covers your stream? Maybe. I think so. Yeah, he would have all of the rights through the streaming software that I use. We're now 5 metres out from the line. New Zealand, 13 on the field. They are missing 2 of their forwards. 1 prop, 1 lock, which does make things a little bit more difficult. Nicely taken there. Sitting about 7 metres from the try line. Rolling maul, Josh Finley. Fires it back to Charlie Sinton. Cross to Haki Wiseman. But he can't ban someone with your consent or without my consent. He can go for it. If someone's being rough to him, he can more than welcome to get rid of them. About 10 metres out from the try line now, Sinton. Again, Argentina looking for that steal in the breakdown. Not quite able to get it. Josh Finley still moving forward. Sinton looking away left. There are defenders there for Argentina, but no one right on the touchline. New Zealand score right near the end of the first half, and it's JD van der Vesterhuizen, the exciting prospect out on the left wing for the Kiwis. New Zealand are down by 3 now with 30 seconds remaining in this first half. This one's honestly a little bit unpredictable, I would say, ladies and gentlemen, in the best way possible. But it's a good finish from JD van der Vesterhuizen. Scoring with 13 men. Didn't we see that yesterday? We certainly did. And then the next thing that happened was the 15-man side had someone get sent off too. Cadeno, backdoor your stream and take control if you wanted. Probably for about 5 seconds before then I can just click to say that he doesn't have permission anymore and then it would fix it. But he's not that type of bloke either, that he would randomly just go, you know what, I'm the captain now. To quote the man from Captain Phillips, that one has missed the way to the side, but that is going to be halftime between these two teams, ladies and gentlemen. 12 points to 15. And where is this match being shown for us here in New Zealand? It is on Sky Sport 4. I'm not too sure. I think it's on Super Sport as well, actually. And then alongside that, Stan Sport have got the broadcasting rights too. Did you see that? I just added the points for New Zealand. The scoreboard took them away. What is going on with this thing? There we go. We'll stick that there. We'll change it to halftime and we won't touch it. It looks like it's just going to leave 46 on there. Now it's changed it back to 10. We'll get in there eventually. We're arguing with a scoreboard. At halftime, people get your popcorn and scoreboard as a Pumas fan. It seems that way, doesn't it? As soon as I put it on, it just said no. No, New Zealand didn't score them, but 2 tries apiece for these two teams. Argentina also taking the 3 points. Okay, cheers, says he says training, no worries at all. The second half of this contest, probably sitting about 12, 13 minutes away. There's another game just around the corner too. It is going to be South Africa versus Australia. Should be a very entertaining one. And you can smash your screen. New Zealand women lose T20 World Cup final. Just like the New Zealand men team lost to India, which was frowning. Probably not. I don't think I've ever been in a scenario where the first thing that I've thought of, like when something doesn't work, is to then think to smash things that I've paid for. I respect people who do, because surely like that must get annoying when you've calmed down and gone, oh, now I need a new computer screen, or now I need a new phone because I threw it at the wall. That second half, this game feels like it's much, well, they're not on 14. We'll change that to the correct scoreline. There we go. It's 15-12 in this contest, ladies and gentlemen, but yeah, I think it should have been more in favour of Argentina. They dominated possession for the first about 30 minutes of this matchup. Everything that New Zealand tried to throw at them from inside of their own half, they just couldn't escape. The Argentines, they had that disallowed try, but outside of that, they were on attack quite nicely. Now, New Zealand with 13 men somehow hang in there. I feel like Argentina, it's an interesting one. I think New Zealand will be angry with that first half, but Argentina will be angry with how it ended. The fact that they are up by just the 3 now. Would you be extremely happy if New Zealand won the T20 World Cup instead of losing? I mean, it would be ideal if they were to win, but if they don't, then, you know, that is what it is. I still won't forget, for Mitchell Sattner's stupidity, not playing Cole McConkie. I don't think Cole McConkie was going to save them from getting absolutely brutally butchered in that final. Rugby teams get a buff and 2 players, or if 2 players get sent off, says Big Rig. There's a gremlin in the works, Hamish. Says a Roof there. May the best team win, and Vamos Pumas, says Roof. Now, for anyone wondering about round 3 of this Under-20 Rugby Championship, there we go. That is the way that it does sit. New Zealand will be playing up against South Africa. That is going to be an absolutely awesome game of rugby when it does take place. And then alongside that, there is also going to be the Argentina versus Australia is the other game that will be happening. And I think Argentina have found their team for that game. This one hasn't really done a lot wrong. Do you think New Zealand batting first would be ideal? I don't think it was going to make a difference, to be honest. And I know that some people like to use that as the excuse as to why New Zealand didn't win, but they just got beaten by a better side on the day. And India had won games from batting first. They'd won games from batting second. They had already chased down the biggest total that they ever had in a T20 World Cup. So, like, they probably would have scored at just as quick of a rate batting second too. Dragons putting up a huge fight as huge underdogs. Putting up a fight as huge underdogs. I did see that they were losing by about 20 points before. Not 20 points. 10 points was what I saw the scoreline as, but they're doing all right. In fact, it was 8 points difference. Yeah, and they still are. There's some controversy in the UK that Harry Kane isn't in the England squad. Sometimes coaches have other ideas. Well, that's a little bit like Damien Penaud in the French Six Nations squad. We did see him go out for this most recent one. 20 points. Says go. Yeah, I was getting a little bit excited thinking about one of their previous games for the old Dragons. They love a good underdog story though, don't they? And do you want Portugal to win the FIFA World Cup? I don't even know who's in their squad for the upcoming World Cup. Outside of Cristiano Ronaldo, I don't think I could name you one current Portuguese footballer. And I don't even know if Ronaldo's still in their mix or whether he's retired from international. That tells you how big my football knowledge is. But second half of this one, not a mile away, and we are seeing a lot of South Africans now piling into the stands. We're in the green and gold, ready to go for their game around the corner, which is going to be South Africa taking on the Australians. Ronaldo is still playing, says Jaden. His last World Cup, says Jaden. And I think Hamish wants the All Whites to win the World Cup, dude, says Big Rig. Outside of Chris Wood, I also couldn't name you too many other Kiwi players. I think there's a guy called Just, isn't there? I'm from the old school days of like Reed and Sigmund and all those boys. Who else there way back in those times? Leo Bertos, he was my favourite footballer back in the day. I think he now owns a cafe in Wellington. Do you believe New Zealand versus English in the World Cup with the controversial finish, was one of the best matches ever. It was certainly one of the most intense ones. And I do think with the fact that it was the final as well, added, that little bit more drama to it. I have to say, South Africa versus Afghanistan was pretty good, though, in that most recent T20 World Cup. The double super over is something you do not see too often at all. Sure, I don't follow bowling. I'd still want the England cricket team to win the bowling World Cup. Says Big Rig, is there a bowling World Cup? I'd assume there'd be some sort of world champs bowling thing. Hit the 300, get yourself a big trophy. Ryan Giggs. It's a name that should ring a bell, but doesn't really. Ryan Nelson, he was an old school Kiwi player, wasn't he? Penalties conceded, 7 against New Zealand, 4 against Argentina, 6 handling errors from Argentina compared to the 2 of the Kiwis. 2 tries scored apiece, tackles missed. Argentina yet to miss a tackle in their 26 made. New Zealand have missed 7 from their 39 made. And possession has been 60% for Argentina, 70% territory. What actually is a super over? It is when you get to play 1 extra over for each team, and they pretty much, whoever has more runs from that extra over from the 6 balls, or more, if there are wides and whatnot, they win the game from there. It's kind of like in Super Rugby, how you have the super point. It's the deciding factor to help get a result. I guess the Bowling World Cup, South Africa are champions, because of course they are, says Big Rig. I'm surprised we haven't heard about it till now, Big Rig, in that regard. But tell you what, they're pretty close to being under 20 champions if they can get a big win over the Aussies. Definitely if the result in this game does go exactly this way. In fact, here's a fun fact, which isn't very fun for the other 3 teams, but if South Africa beat Australia with a bonus point, New Zealand and Argentina, if Argentina win this game and stop New Zealand from getting a bonus point, South Africa win the Under-20 Rugby Championship with 1 game to go. Australia won the women's. Says Big Rick for the bowling side of things. I do enjoy a bit of bowling. Bowling's one of those activities that you can not do for like 5 years, then randomly go bowling and be like, this was all right, but then also at the same time, it's very frustrating. But that's good. It's supposed to encourage a bit of rivalry and a bit of competitiveness, which is the complete opposite of the thing that I did last time we went bowling. Second go round, I was just throwing gutter balls flat out, trying to spin the ball like the professionals. Second half of this one, I would say, is less than 5 minutes away. Looking through at the benches, Logan Williams, he kept his spot, but a lot of changes for New Zealand. Mika Fale is there too, but they're going to need to rely on the 13 men on the field currently for that second half to really go out with a hiss and a roar. If they can score again with 13, I'll say what I set up against Leinster and also Toulon. If they score again with 13, the confidence that gives them will carry them over the line. 13-5, Dragons losing. They're still much closer in that game, though, than they were anticipated, aren't they? In fact, what I might have to do is I might have to get the old double setup going. Because I am going to be doing it for the next game anyway. So I might as well do it to see the end of that contest while we're at it. Because, yeah, if the Dragons can somehow hang in there, that would be absolutely huge for them. Easter I will send. Says Nicoline there. We'll go EPCR TV. It is slowly kicking in. Got to enter all the account details and whatnot. There we go. If Argentina beat New Zealand here with a bonus point, they'll be in with a shot. If New Zealand beats South Africa and they beat the Aussies, oh yeah, no, that's true actually. They would have 5 points, wouldn't they? Points differential might hurt them a little bit, but it wouldn't be completely out of the ordinary. Right, that is now loading. I believe they have mini player, which is good. I love that feature that you can pop it up on the screen somewhere random and just leave it there. I just have to make sure that I mute it so that I don't get confused at who I'm listening to for the 2 matches. Who would you say was the greatest cheese rolling champion of all time? In other words, who is the big cheddar? Well, me and George watched a compilation of cheese rolling the other day. I have to say, some of those boys take it very seriously and also land very hard on the back of their heads. But I would say the best... Where did that just go? I think I just lost the coverage. How do I get it in a pop-out tab? Okay, I don't think it's going to let me do that floaty tab thing that I said that I wanted to do. But I can still put it in the corner. Put it down there, out of the way. There we go. I've got a little bit of a multi-setup now going. You froze for about 10 seconds, says Jasmine. Did I? And we have got there Nguda from the Netherlands as being a good cheese. But at the moment on the table, South Africa are sitting number 1 with the points differential of plus 27. New Zealand would be in second with 5 due to being within the 7 points. Again, the green and gold supporters are piling into the stands. Of course, that big result would have helped in terms of attendance numbers for this next game that is only an hour away, or an hour and 10 minutes, in fact, away from kicking off. New Zealand making their way onto the field now with 2 less. They have got Ethan Webber as well as Jake Frost sitting in the bin, waiting to make their way back out. Your favourite rugby jersey in the URC and Super Rugby. I've always been a fan of the Hurricanes kit just because I like yellow. So I'm a bit biased in that regard. Best URC kit. I'd say the Dragons alternative strip because it's yellow, but not. I can't do that twice. URC's tricky. There's a lot of good kits. I mean, I like the Stormers colours. The design of their kit. I don't know if I'd say it's my favourite one, though. The one that I really would say is never going to be considered my favourite was that, you know, that alternative Lions strip that they had a while ago with all the graffiti written on it? That was a very hard one to look at. Definitely for, like, numbers on the backs. You couldn't actually read any of them. The second half of this one is now just getting underway, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully the scoreboard is going to be playing ball. Start kicking it in the near future. It is taken back by the Argentines, so that means that this one cannot go out on the full. New Zealand taking it round the halfway line. Now running forward is Micah Muliaina. In fact, no, Jay Rehana. Those two look very similar. And the 10 and 14 jersey. Step in the inside from Van der Vesterhuizen. I actually would be interested to find out how many broken bones I have due to that event. And come on, the All Blacks from a Springbok supporter. You are better than this, says Albertus. Yeah, of course, the ideal scenario is to see New Zealand versus South Africa be that kind of almost the equivalent of a final next week, with both sides having 2 wins from 2, although Argentina making it difficult at this point in time. 200 IQ tactic. Put so much garbage on your shirt that the opposing team have no idea what number you are. Now kicked him behind from New Zealand, but they did have the penalty advantage, so they will go back for the penalty again. Argentina's discipline has started to let them down a little bit, which is ironic to say with the fact that New Zealand have 2 men sitting in the bin. But at the same time, it just feels like currently they haven't quite found their full rhythm in terms of that defending. It seems like they're rushing it a little bit, trying to get that big steal in every single breakdown, which just isn't what they need to do. They wait for their opportunities. They will come and they will be able to get that big opportunity on attack. I think I just said the same opportunity word about 7 times, or at least it felt that way in that sentence. And now line out throw, nicely taken by New Zealand again, looking for the rolling maul here. Looks like Montpellier have just scored as well for anyone following that game. That is not ideal timing for the Dragons. They conceded last time I put that game on too. I think I'm a little bit of the bad luck for the Dragons. Beautiful strip of the ball there. It looks like it might be a bit of an injury for New Zealand too. Back up to his feet was Oliver Gurin, but they definitely don't want him down, or else they're playing with 12 up against Argentina's 15. Running it forward was Benavides. Now again, rolling this one back for another box kick. Argentina just trying to play a little bit of territory. New Zealand won't mind that too much, as this does use up time of their yellow cards. Probably another 3 minutes or so before they are back to the full 15. Now left-hand side. Looks like they've actually made a change here to New Zealand. They have got Boston Crone on the field as the halfback now. I don't think Sinton's still about, so they've decided to take him off much earlier than some would have thought. But New Zealand, just phase after phase. It was a good run from Finn McLeod, which was actually the first break of the line for New Zealand. He has another good carry there. Running forward was Alex Arnold. Replaced Max Farley in that starting lineup. Two-man tackle on Kobe Brownlee. Again, just phase after phase. Waiting for Argentina to make the mistake on defence by giving away a penalty advantage with the cheese, with holes in it. Be just as rollable as a solid block. Depends how soft the cheese is. I think it would be fine. You might get a little bit of a slower roll because of physics. But as long as it's not a soft cheese would be a bad day at the office. It would just explode. Kind of wait for the left-hand side again, round halfway. The Argentines. 10 phases in now for New Zealand. Argentina defending nicely, looking for the steal, told to get out of there. Alex Hewitt doing well to keep that ball on the side of the Kiwis, going for the turnover there. That wasn't an opportunity, and it is going to be a penalty advantage. This is the ideal scenario for New Zealand now. Backline movement. Obviously, the coach has just said, go back to the basics. Get those passes away. Nice run forward from Norrie. Gets the offload now, breaking through for New Zealand. Still under the penalty advantage, but it's a good run from McLeod, and they'll go back now for the original penalty. That is 4.5 minutes into the second half. New Zealand may have almost had the expiry of their yellow now. Or their 2 yellows, I should say. There's Pascal Viale, who has been penalised for that one. What about psychedelic mushrooms on your jersey, says Ruth? I mean, it would still look better than the alternative line strip that they used that time. Unfortunately for them. This one's going to be booted into Dutch by Micah Muliaina. Okay, time is now off. New Zealand, I believe, still do have 13. Just for now. I believe they actually may have received their yellow cards at about 36 minutes. So 1 more minute remaining before 2 men return. And if New Zealand can score again with 13... Oh no, Jake Frost is back. Just. So he was the first. Ethan Webber still off the field. New Zealand, that is a welcome change in the line-out department, having another man to go up for the ball. They may actually go straight back to throwing it to him as well. Looks like Argentina are going to be making a change here. I'll try and put my arms in a little bit so that you can see, but it is Basilio Canas, I believe, in that number 20 jersey. Cannot not use a 2-man advantage. Argies will lose because of that. Yeah, like confidence-wise, New Zealand have played better with 13 than Argentina have played with 15 in recent times, which again is going to do leaps and bounds for this New Zealand team and their, I guess, mindset, thinking that they can win this game. Breaking off the back now. They've got another penalty advantage. Ball is stolen. And this might be getting close to double blow of the whistle territory here for the Argentines if they continue to infringe. Like they've said, it probably won't be long before Argentina do get that warning for the repeat infringements. Like Muliaina again, booting that ball into touch. Be about 7 metres out from the line now. There's a bit of push and shove going on between Montpellier and the Dragons. I think that's just down to frustration for this Dragons side. Yeah, side entry right in front of the referee, something that you can't afford to be doing if you're the Argentines. Definitely now that New Zealand are back to 15, although the overthrown line-out mistake made from New Zealand. It's probably their first mistake in about 5 or so minutes in terms of genuine turnover situation. They've had a couple drop balls, but then, of course, under penalty advantage, they were just able to go back to where the penalty was. Now open space here in the middle of the field. Gurin getting driven towards the sideline, back up to his feet, trying to keep the ball on the side of the All Blacks juniors team. Now back across again. Now 8 minutes into the second half, and it has been all New Zealand. Maybe it's downhill or something, because everyone who's gone from right to left seems to be going well. That's a good run from Alexander Hewitt. Offloads the ball up to his propping teammate. Another offload from New Zealand. Hucky Wiseman, he did score the first try of the match for the Kiwis. Don't mind another one here. Backline movement away to the left, but Jake Frost hits the ball up. Parmesan great on pizza. Says Roof now away to the left-hand side. Space for the Kiwis out wide. Big fem from Van der Vesterhuizen, who just stays within the field of play. 22 out. Still making the meters, and Argentina keeping their discipline just for now. And that is the way that it has to stay throughout the next 32 minutes of this fixture. Kiwis down by 3. Offload there. I don't know whether or not Finlay was expecting it, but it has ended up in his hands, and it is the penalty to Argentina. A bit isolated there, and Los Pumitas managing to get the steal. I need the Dragons to score a try and not convert for my Super Rugby. Well, they're on 10 points now. They've actually just scored. But they did get the conversion, so they are down by what looks like 6 points at the moment, I believe. Argentina, they have won that penalty, though, so we'll be able to kick this ball towards the touchline. Dragons scored, says Ronald. Yeah, they're not completely out of that game yet. Still another 6 minutes remaining. Surely they can't do it again, right? Do they convert, no man? Yeah, so they're up to 12 points now. Penalty awarded to Argentina. It was the work and the breakdown. Finlay a bit isolated. Again, I don't think he was expecting the pass. Did well to take the catch, though. And now the Argentines with Manuel Cuneo contested in the air. It was knocked on by New Zealand. And yep, knock-on advantages now called in favour of the Argentines. Back to the left-hand side. All bit of miscommunication there. Advantage is now over. That was just kicking away territory. Kicking away position as well for the Argentines, as New Zealand now with a great leg drive. Becomes a rolling maul almost. Ball comes out the back once again. Now big run. In the middle of the park, looks like a couple players have stayed down there. Trying to pierce the gap was Micah Muliaina. He's dropped the ball forward. And is ruled as such, and it will be the scrum fair to feel like a mime. And a yelling competition currently, says Jason. And we have got there no mushrooms, but marshmallows and strawberry and lime strongbow cider. Says Ruth. For anyone wondering about that Dragons versus Montpellier game, at the moment there are a total of 5.5 minutes remaining. 6 points difference between those two teams, which is not sitting too bad at all, I do have to say. Substitution, another one being made by the Argentines. This is going to be Farias Sirioni. Does make his way on. Good afternoon, says Kyle. Welcome in. Okay, I think Pedro Cole was just asking the referee to have a quick little look at something. But everyone is ready to go now. A few medics on the field running drinks on for these young players. 50 minutes through. New Zealand are still down by the 3 points. So even though they did have a lot of position and territory throughout that first 10 minutes of the second half, they weren't able to convert it into points. And there's where Argentina, again, similar to what we saw in the first half, they have to do what New Zealand did, wait, and then get that big try that then helps them out on the board. But the Pumas, they also had to be patient throughout that first half too. One more try here would put them in a good old spot. Argentina and New Zealand are going in pretty slowly. And come on, New Zealand, says Purple Dragon Universe. Currently 15 on 15. Right, referee annoyed with these two sides, saying get ready in that scrum. I think they were waiting for the DJ to stop blaring the tunes. It's hard to describe how much worse this New Zealand under-20 side is than last year's side. Yeah, they've lost a lot of good players along the way. And don't get me wrong, I think there are a few very handy young players who will come up through the rankings. What channel are you watching the box game on? Soon to be, will be Sky Sport 4 as well, I believe, here in New Zealand. Big scrum. And reset. Taking place, what time is South Africa playing? They will be playing at 4:10 p.m. South African time, or for anyone in a different time zone, in 57 minutes' time is their kickoff. Is Montpellier a Japanese team, as the name would suggest? No, they're French. We have their referee, headache shame. Says Roof, and the fullback looks the goods. Has that Will Jordan-like acceleration. Yeah, Cohen Norrie, he got himself the first try of the match up against Australia, and then also the first try of the second half up against them too. Dragons have currently got the ball in hand, ladies and gents, with the 4 minutes remaining. Although they've just lost that ball. Montpellier getting the steal. South Africa plays 4:30, Mike. Says Pigeon. Or 4:10, a little bit earlier for the kickoff of that game. You'll be about 20 minutes in at that stage, and by then we may already know if the Boks are going to dominate. And probably 10-5 hours time, South African time. So, yeah, 4:10 p.m. penalty to New Zealand against the scrum feed. That is a big confidence booster again. As the side have started to make a few of their changes. We do see John Falloon has made his way on, number 10:4. 10:4, sorry, Mike. Man U vs Liverpool is 4:30. Our reserve props are better than theirs, yay. Says F or Elfland. Yeah, it seems like the fellas who have already made their way off the bench are already bringing that impact. Similar to what we actually saw for, just a most recent reference game, Toulon. We saw Baptiste Serron as well as Zach Mercer make their way on, completely change the way that Toulon were playing. This feels a little bit the same for New Zealand here. We see Mika Fale make his way on. He can be an impact player. A little bit of experience in that department too. And better get another try. This granny's getting tired. Says Jasmine, but New Zealand have now got themselves the line out. There was a bit of frustration from Micah Muliaini when he was going for the corner, but only got it to about 15 metres out, but that is still close enough to the try line for New Zealand. It gets something going. Here's Mika Fale. First carry for him, makes 5 metres. Going away to the left-hand side now for New Zealand. They are 10 metres out from the Argentine line. New Zealand, the first step is to get a to get a win. Second stage would be bonus point if they can. Trying to stop the Kiwis there just short of the line. Los Pumitas rushing up. Have to be careful not to be offside or else they could find themselves going to the bin as well. Now, right-hand side, sniping run from the halfback. He is 2 metres short. Looks like New Zealand going to leave that one alone. Or another one of the forwards. That ball looked like it was knocked on. But it's going to be potentially a try for New Zealand if it was not. Looks like there was a grounding there for JD van der Westerhuizen, but okay, they're going to check to see what actually happened with this ball. In general play, it did look like it may have gone forward. I double-checked 4:10. There's Pigeon there. Right, there is a grounding. So on-field decision is try. It's whether or not there's a knock-on from New Zealand in the build-up. How do you think the Rugby Nation that hard followed the injection protocols have become weaker for about 5 years running now? Rugby Nation that hard followed the injection. What do you mean, Juan? I'm confused. Knock-on, says Eflan. It does look like that ball was dropped in the breakdown, doesn't it? Whether or not they ruled it as forward or backward, they are going to look at this one quite a few times just to be sure. Okay, here we go again to show you the knock. Comment from the South African team. Oh, I think this one's going to be ruled out then. You got it? I really didn't. Who's the Rugby Nation you're referring to? And we have got there a few, says Ruth. An idea, says Ruth. So, yeah, it is going to be a knock-on. I know, FFS, the baby All Blacks, says Jasmine. Nicholas Kumbiaso. He has made his way on. Started up against South Africa. Now getting to make his way off the bench. And again, I think that the starting lineup that we've seen here is going to be more than likely what we do see up against Australia. They have done much better than their teammates from last week. 26 minutes remaining, still leading here for Argentina. It was a big scrum. The Argentines from just out from their own line will boot this ball into touch. It's going to be about 25 or so metres out from the line for the New Zealand line out. And strong coffee needed here, says Ruth. And now Josh Finley. Line out throw again. Oh, and beautifully stolen by Argentina, but an awkward bouncing ball almost made it difficult for them to be able to fully retain. And after stealing it, now inside of their 22 again, it was not taken back. They can kick this one just out on the full. And it's exactly what Argentina do, making some more meters. Getting that little bit further down the field. Full time in Montpellier versus the Dragons. It is 18-12 as the end score there. Does anyone here believe in Bigfoot or UFOs? Says Jason. I would think if anyone did, it would be yourself, Jason. I'm sure you've got a few stories to tell in regards to them. Now going away to the right-hand side. Now off to Mike Fale. He's had like 5 carries since making his way off of the bench. Now passing across to the right-hand side. Big fend there. Interception for Argentina. It becomes a foot race, and it looks like it's one that Argentina will win. And it's the try now for Luciano Avaca. It is very similar to what we saw in the first half. How one side has all the attack. Takes a while, but they do get there. 16 minutes, and Argentina now lead this game by 8. Someone needs to score soon. Says Ruth. And there as well, maybe if it is flying the UFOs. Says Big Rig. And they are celebrating it in the stands. Quite a few Argentinian kits, which is fantastic to see. But it was that pass attempted on the outside from Oliver Gooden, and it went straight into the hands of the Argentine winner. And 18-12, unlucky for the Dragons, says, hey, no, yeah, probably closer than you'd anticipate for a $12 underdog in that contest. That was the type of, like, underdog score you'd expect them to lose by 25 with that type of odd. But they lost by 6, so I think they'd be pretty, like, they'd be disappointed to lose within 7, but they'd still be pretty happy with what they've been able to do throughout that Challenge Cup campaign. And how are you staying so calm? Can I have it? Says Al Flan. And Montpellier win. Bordeaux by 9. Is it too much? Depends on how they play. Like, either it's going to be very close and go down to the wire, or I think if either of the teams were going to run away with it, Bordeaux would. They're like, you know, if Bordeaux are on form and their backline's firing, oh, hang on. Another change. Some subs being made. I thought they were double blowing the whistle to check that one, but it's 20 points to 12. New Zealand down by more than a converted try now. This is where they're going to have to do some damage and score some tries soon. Or else that under-20 Rugby Championship, which they have won the past 2 years, could be slipping away. Now New Zealand kicking this one off again. Gonna spin out of that one. Oh, advantage already. That was for it around the chest or around the neck against New Zealand. So the penalty goes the way of Argentina. That is the high tackle from Jake Frost. He's got to be careful doing that, as he is currently one of the 2 men for New Zealand who have received a yellow card. Should it go 7 or 9? I had to be within 5, really. It's a tricky one. Because the thing is, I don't want to discredit Bath. But, like I said, if Bordeaux are going, 9 may not be enough. So but Bath should be. I would say if it was up to me, I'd say 9. But I don't want to ruin your Super Brew. There's a whole another ball. That one's going to be picked up by New Zealand. No room to work with as he gets driven into touch. We're just checking to see whether or not there was a knock on. Seems like it is going to be. Okay, it's Argentina's ball. I should have all of my mates who used shrooms in the early years, 99%, are highly successful people today. I'm talking the 80s now. So here's Roger. And do the under-20s play 80 minutes, or is it less? It is the 80 minutes. They still play the full length. Okay, 9 it is, says Haino. Now rolling forward here for Argentina. That ball comes out the back. In fact, no, it doesn't. For the Argentines. On the ball, New Zealand managing to shut down that rolling maul from inside of their own 22. Vamos Pumitas, says LEP PB. Currently only sitting around, would be 45 minutes until the kickoff of the next contest, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be covering that game in 35 minutes' time. as we are going to have 10 minutes of build-up. Tries and visits the opposition 22. Argentina have visited New Zealand's 22 10 times. They have scored the 3 tries. New Zealand have visited the opposition 22 6 times. They have scored twice. And going to be a good last quarter. Yeah, it's close enough here that I still think New Zealand have a try in them. They've shown glimpses of what they did up against Australia, but as a whole, Argentina, it's that passion. They will start to believe that they've got this game in the bag. It's a big push there. And scrum reset. Baby All Blacks going to have to score twice to win. And with them only having scored twice looks like a big ass, says Pigeon Boy. And Argentina can't defend, says QQ. Although this is a very different Argentinian team from the one that we saw last week struggling up against South Africa. 13 changes across their starting lineup. It was only the tight head prop and Pedro Cole, the captain, who moved from 12 to 13. Everyone else was not given much of a chance last week. Only a few of them made their way off the bench. But again, I think Argentina have found their younger team here. And I think that if you're one of those guys who played in the game up against South Africa, you're probably a bit nervous, thinking that you might not get the chance to run around out there for the one last game of the Under-20 Rugby Champs. There's going to be up against Australia next Sunday, or this Sunday, in fact, here in New Zealand, seeing as we're a Monday. And Pumas doing well, says Ruth. They absolutely are. And I feel like this side does need a lot of credit for what they've been able to do. Of course, New Zealand, people have been saying they've been playing poorly, which is true. But Argentina have also played very well here, which I feel like does deserve, like I said, that kind of credit side of things. Logan Williams kicking that one downfield for 80 minutes. Says Elijah. Going to be cleaned up by the Argentines, who will kick it back downfield. I think this is one of the worst New Zealand teams I've seen in the under-20s. France and Ireland plus South Africa are a level above. Says QQ. Yeah, they certainly lack the X factor that they had last year. They lost a lot of good players compared, like we were reading out their squad that they had for last season on the first live stream that we covered. And yeah, it's going to be a tough kind of, I would say, 12 to 18 months for junior New Zealand rugby. But there's also some really handy under-18 guys, or probably under-16s even, coming up through the ranks. Oh, the cameraman almost fell over there, I think. A good Argentinian side versus bad New Zealand under-20 side. And I love this under-20 Rugby Championship. A great initiative and some stellar rugby, says the Grey. Now, ball stolen by Argentina again in the breakdown as they look to kick it in behind. And that ball rolls into touch, just playing a smart territory type of game there for this Argentinian team. They're sitting 20 points to 12 ahead. Exciting for Los Pumas, absolutely. A lot of people ruling them out of this competition after the performance last week, but that second half, when you really think about it, the last 15 or so minutes was when they did their best. That was when we saw some of the guys who were starting in this game make their way off of the bench. Did the Argentinians just get their selection wrong for that first match, perhaps? People aren't going to be happy when they see the score in the morning. Definitely not. It does sit this way anyway. But there is still time. There is also an advantage in play for New Zealand. Micah Farley. Another tackle made by Los Pumas, and they'll go back for the penalty. And who would have thought it would probably be 10 years until New Zealand wins World Cup under-20s again? Says QQ. Yeah, although the thing is as well, I think that there is a bit of panic, it seems, in regards to this New Zealand under-20 side. Nice run again there from the replacement half. But we've got to remember, they did win the Under-20 Rugby Championship last year, then the year before that, and they came runner-ups in the Under-20s, World Champs last year too. So, that was pretty solid, but I don't think it's going to be long till we see a few more guys make their way up. It's just at the moment, they don't have that same X factor. You're watching the game after, we certainly are. Also doing a little bit of co-commentary with that Bordeaux versus Bath game. We're going to be giving updates on what is happening throughout that contest. And New Zealand, not that bad, they're okay. Good afternoon, Kiwi lads. And all go New Zealand, says Lawrence. It is good to have you here. Nice early morning start if you are in New Zealand. Currently 1:30 a.m. on a Monday morning. Oliver Gurdon, I believe, is making his way off the field. And X Factor being poorly coached, says Al Flynn. I'd say a little bit of both. No offence to this side, but when you look at the team last year, there were players across the board who are now actually, getting opportunities in Super Rugby as well in the squads that I would say they just haven't quite found their feet yet. But then at the same time, that comes with experience. You know, for all we know, this side could come out next year and do extremely well, whilst some of these guys are still in that environment. The junior Springbok team for the World Cup will look very different. They'll have to be favourites heading into that, I would have to say. If I can say hello to all as well. Says Lawrence, are they currently live? I know they're doing Champions Cup. They might, they're doing Premier League maybe. Or they got Premier League coming up. Or maybe it's later on. And I'm sure 6 of the per meters are actually 24-27. Now kicked him behind here. Logan Williams showing his pace, shoulder to shoulder. That one's going to be forward pass in the in-goal area. That'll be a 5-meter scrum now for New Zealand. And 80k says Haino. I haven't even checked. And having to find a stream as they're not showing it in the UK, which is a shame. I feel like these are the type of games you can show on YouTube and get, you know, some more international viewers watching the under-20 comps, get them hyped up for the championship. Yeah, 80,001 is now the count. And they had about 100 to select from for this comp. It's possible that jury is an average selected. Says Al Flan. I think with age group rugby is 1 year can make the difference between an average team and a world-beating team. Exactly right. And yeah, you know, who knows how this young New Zealand team will go in the under-20 competition, because we got to remember they are going to have their group stage matches, and by then maybe some of these guys will come right. Mikamuli Aina, that's a drop ball there from the replacement 22. Ravel unable to claim that one nicely. Look who we have here. Says Jaden, congrats Hamish. Says Big Rick. There's going to be another knock on. They're struggling here, New Zealand, for these final moments. I think the demographics of New Zealand and Europe are changing. Lots of Kiwis leaving for Australia, where island academies are bringing in Europeans who are good at rugby like Fabian Holland. Says QQ. Does anyone need a stream? Can I post a stream? If it's an illegal one, I'd recommend not doing it. What's the chance New Zealand Rugby Union remove the coach before the World Championship? Says Al Flan. Probably quite slim. Not a lot of time. So that's where it gets difficult. 100k by the end of the year. I think by the end of next year will be when we have a chance of getting to the 100,000. I think that's roughly the growth that we've had. And we have got there as it scrum to Argentina. Certainly is on the 22. Ready to put this ball in. Have a converter in the Premier League game in 1 hour time. Manchester United versus Liverpool. That'll be a relatively important one, right? In terms of the overall Premier League standings. South Africa under 20s have already toured Georgia and Ireland. CSQQ, that is true. So they've found a bit of their rhythm. Now going to the touchline here for Argentina. That ball has gone out. South Africa is too strong for the rest of the world, says Martin, and it would be nice for them to back it up, the current squad that they've got with an under-20 Rugby Championship. It is surprising when you consider that they have finished second and third in the under-20 Rugby Championships the last 2 years. With the players that they've had, they did take on and win the World Championship, though. But having a Rugby Championship title in the bag would also be nice for this baby box team. Now the ball on the side of New Zealand again, Logan Williams. Seems like there's just a lack of urgency at times from this New Zealand team. Now I'm moving away to the right-hand side. No idea if the stream is legal. Been using it for 6 years and hasn't been shut down. So here's Pigeon Boy. I'm looking forward to seeing that Ethan Adams, or what Ethan Adams does later. The tank, his run up against Argentina was phenomenal, wasn't it? This is another knock on from New Zealand. The ball just not quite gripping in the fingertips for today. In Argentina, they are 12 minutes away from a massive win in this under-20 Rugby Champs comp. Just poor stuff from them. Yeah, it's the basics at the moment that is letting them down. The handling has been struggling the second half, although Argentina were the team with the handling problems in the first half. It's kind of done a full 180. South Africa 48, Australia 30. Ooh, that's harsh on the Aussies. But it would be an impressive one if South Africa were able to do so. The Argentines, they are just having a bit of a team chat here. As someone's been butter all over the ball, and this game is not over yet. New Zealand can come right very quickly, says the Grey 619. That is true. We saw them do it last week up against the Australians, scoring, 3 tries, 4 minutes. That's the weather. The Lions is a hard ground to play. But Argentina is used to the heat, says QQ. We mentioned we've got 25 minutes until the next live stream, ladies and gentlemen. That will be South Africa versus Australia. And that is also the Under-20 Rugby Championship comp. Last year's New Zealand Under-20 side would thrash this New Zealand Under-20s team. Yeah. I think they'd probably do quite well. 80k, congrats, well deserved. A lot of hard work you've done. Says Nazi Williams, greatly appreciated. It's also very early morning, Nazi, so hopefully you have managed to get some sleep beforehand, or you're sleeping maybe after these games. Front rows have collapsed there at the scrum, and babies don't deserve to win. Yeah, we're getting towards that stage how if Argentina were to lose from here, it would be pretty gutting for them, because they have done a lot of things right throughout this match. They have been the better team throughout the 68 minutes. Can New Zealand win this game? If they score soon, they can, but it's going to take a bit of a turnaround. We have there, Amish, you know South Africa can't lose against Australia. It is impossible. I assume you're just referencing this year, right? This was last year. They lost to Australia 29-24. So I assume you're saying 2026 as the reference point rather than last year's comp, right? Now scrum feed for Argentina. They've got the penalty advantage again. Are you showing the actual game feed? Sadly not, because it would get us taken straight off YouTube with a copyright strike, which would not be ideal. We get banned for 3 months. Going away to the left-hand side now for the Argentines. It is replacement 23, shuffling around halfway. That is history. Okay, so previous games don't count, is what you're just saying there. Now going away to the left-hand side. Geez, there's many games we could rule out then. In that case, it's an interesting logic, to be fair. I'll be supporting New Zealand and Georgia in the Under-20 World Cup, says John. I blame Geordie and Rico for the Under-20s losing, says Jason. Hey, come on, people, give Amish a like, says Wild Lobster. And now sitting 10 minutes remaining on the clock here. But it is that scrum. They did win the penalty advantage for the New Zealand front row, standing up and stepping back. And kia ora, Ruth from Cape Town, says Nazi. Now line out throw here for the Argentines. Don't be like the All Blacks playing in the past, says Martin. So how do you feel about World Cups then, Martin? Do they count since their previous games? The likes of last year, the Junior Box, they won the Under-20 Rugby Championship. The Under-20 World Champs. So by your logic, that doesn't count, and the next competition's the only one that does count, right? You know, trophies in the cupboard don't mean anything. South Africa, Australia prediction after this. Who's winning? I think the South Africans should take them, but I think it will be relatively close. Inside ball from Argentina. Now shuffling away to the right-hand side. Have only New Zealand had rugby players? Well, it does help when you're playing rugby. That's kind of self-explanatory. That's a loose ball. Not back Argentina with the ball on the outside, and they score the try. They need one more. They could get a bonus point from this contest. I wouldn't pledge to be in the under-20s last season. He was, yes. I don't understand New Zealand Rugby appointing a coach for the under-20s who was an assistant coach for a team that finished last in Super Rugby. How close are Argentina to the line? They are over it. And Ramon Fernandez, the man who does score it out to the right-hand side. See there, the tackle made off the bench. And try. Says Big Rig. It's just a beautiful pass on the outside. Argentina have scored again, says Pigeon Boy. And yeah, now they are in a position where if they score again here and get themselves a bonus point win over the Australians next week, there's still a chance that they could have the Rugby Championship for 2026. Game set match, I think, says Super. And last year is the first time South Africa started using a coach who coached at senior level, says WLK. And the New Zealand under-20s are going to get a cricket score put on them next week. And also we have got their well on Argentina, says Martin, and shucks, says Anazi, but the score is 25-12. The only thing that's really let Argentina down has actually been the goal kicking out there today. There's been quite a few missed, but the benefit they've got is they've been scoring enough tries anyway. that it isn't going to play a factor. 8 minutes remain here, and they have got a 13-point lead. That kind of needed to be 15. Did you update the score? The scoreboard's automatic. There's a knock-on from Argentina. Haki Wiseman. New Zealand wanting any chance of winning this game, they need to score and convert within the next couple of minutes of this contest. Now, Mika Muliaina going away to the left-hand side, New Zealand, inside of the 22. Now, Frost moves forward. His stream is about 30 or 40 seconds behind mine, bro. That'll be because I'm watching on Sky Sport now, I would say. Still making their way forward. Who's the Magpies? Hawke's Bay. Or I think there's also... Is there a Magpies in the... That Collingwood also in AFL. But yeah, rugby-wise, Magpies normally refers to Hawke's Bay. Now, New Zealand almost getting set up in a rolling maul there. Now, short pass. And great game by Argentina, says Yako. The advantage against the Argentines. Quick tap taken by Haki Wiseman, the captain, with a little bit of vision there of being able to run through, but couldn't get past this Argentinian attack. This game is over for New Zealand now. It would have been had they converted their Argentina. They've still left the door slightly skew-whiffed for New Zealand to be able to run through. Backline movement, ball on the outside, over the line New Zealand go. They've scored the try, and now it's 25-17. Time on the clock, official time is 73 minutes and 50 seconds. The benefit, though, is they had to score it out wide, New Zealand, due to the pressure from the Argentinian defence. Finn McLeod for his first try in this season. Emil's son, obviously, or his nephew. And here we go, says the Grey 619. And come on the All Blacks, please, from South Africa, says Albertus. But it now takes away the chance of a bonus point victory for the Argentines. New Zealand, though, if they get this conversion over, they can certainly get themselves a bonus point from this fixture. But this is a tough kick from the sideline, a bit of a swirling breeze. And it's going to be Cohen Norrie. He sits 1 from 2 today. And well, quick response, says Ruth. Strikes it away to the left-hand side. So New Zealand are going to need a converter try and something. Yes, go the All Blacks, says Albertus there. And thank you for the coverage, appreciated. And we are back for the next game as well. South Africa versus Australia is not too far from starting up. That game will be kicking off in less than 30 minutes' time. And yeah, we're going to be covering that one on the channel too. True, says Nazi Williams. And yes, go the All Blacks, says Albertus. Yep, you're exactly 39 seconds behind my stream. Says Pigeon Boy. The 5 minutes remaining, 8 points difference. Currently, no side is getting a bonus. New Zealand, they still need another point to be in that bonus category. And for the Argentines, they need another 2 tries. Now Logan Williams, short ball, Mika Fale. He breaks straight through for New Zealand, staying on his feet too. Ball on the inside to Logan Williams. Offload again. New Zealand are going to get close but dragged down just short of the try line. No, that's illegal from Argentina. And that will be a yellow card. If not, it should have potentially been a penalty try. New Zealand fire it out wide now. Stepping on the inside, they score again. 4 minutes remain. New Zealand will be down by 3. We have got their try New Zealand and try, says the Grey 619. But New Zealand, just like that, have got back into the game. Haki Wiseman, 3 Rugby Championship tries this season. 2 of which have come from this game, but it was a full field try almost for the New Zealanders. Argentina potentially should have had someone going to the bin too, jumping over the breakdown to slap it out of the hands of the New Zealand halfback. Okay, so Haki Wiseman was just asking the question, although he shouldn't ask it too hard because it could have been a knock-on from New Zealand as well in that breakdown. 1 point game, says Pigeon Boy, and never write off an AB's team, says the Grey 619. And the Baby Boomers fell asleep, says Big Rig. Okay, now they're going upstairs. I think New Zealand may regret asking that question there because, although, to be fair, if it's deliberate, it's probably going to be a yellow card penalty try anyway, which would guarantee New Zealand the 7 points. We used to win this under-20s easy back in the days, no more. Says Nazi Williams. And what happened to the Boomers' defence? It has been cut open at the moment. It's quite interesting, though, because this, in terms of the clock, They used up an extra 45 seconds thinking about reviewing this, which means there's only going to be about maybe 3 minutes remaining. They're just asking the question of whether or not this try can potentially be ruled out from the kickoff. So Simon Pfister, they're looking for obstruction. Nah, I don't think there's enough in that. And they're definitely grasping at straws. Ben Cruz, the South African TMO, if he goes right back for that one, it definitely didn't have a huge effect. It's that play there. South African lads are massive, says Nazi, and two-weight ref going to the virtual ref. Come on, New Zealand, you are good as that. And try New Zealand, says Purple Dragon. Right, they're just queuing it up again to see if it was an illegal play. Unless they're looking for the knock-on from New Zealand, which could be the case. This is going to be a big moment in the game, though, overall. It's only actually 25 minutes till the next game kicks off, so this one's going to run deep in terms of timing-wise. You're going to see the replay now. Now they're looking for a forward pass as well. Okay, they're going back to try and find obstruction against New Zealand from inside of their 22 here. They're checking for the obstruction. It creates a gap, but all the players were there already. And the Argentines' hands went up pretty quickly there. Other ref missing is seeing dog in his cane. Says Benito there. This is going to be an interesting one here. So they're checking 17 to see obstruction. I think they're going to rule this one out. Yeah, it's going to be no try for New Zealand. And they're going to go right back. It seems like the South African supporters are more frustrated with that one in the stands than anyone in that regard. And well ruled out right back. About 80 metres for an obstruction. That's flat not forward, surely, and no try. One of New Zealand's players got a parking ticket in 1997. And also we have got their, they're going to go through the whole rule book till they find something. Yeah. What was the name? Ben Cruz. TMO. He was definitely looking deep there. And no try, says Pigeon Boy. And that is crappy, says Foxtrot. But not rigged, says Jason. So it is going to be a penalty for Argentina. And New Zealand are now still down by the 8 points. It does mean that they will kick for the corner here, Argentina. So they are back on chasing their bonus point. Oh, the All Blacks have their excuse now, says Big Rig. I don't like this game, it sucks, says Jasmine. Well, it was fun while it lasted. The chance of a comeback did seem like it was on for half a second. But now the Pumas, that will be a little bit of almost a wake-up call. A kick the head, well, not the kick the head, but kick the gears and try and finish this game strong. One more try would win it for them. They are currently 8 points up. They should already, by this stage, have a decent chance anyway. But New Zealand certainly showed how dangerous they could be in that situation. Going away to the left-hand side. It sucks we wanted a close finish. I would have loved to see what was going to happen for that final 4 minutes. Knock on there in the breakdown, or from the Argentines. New Zealand now have got themselves a scrum. A little bit of push and shove going on here too. The clock is still going as well. It wasn't smart from New Zealand there. As this is going to use up more time. That just spoiled an excellent game, says Ronald Edwards. And now scrum feed for the Kiwis from inside of their own 22. Time on the clock. Still 2 minutes left. Exactly 2 now. 2 obstructions with both. Should have been tries, says WLK. Yeah, see, that one, to me, it was one of the lighter obstructions we have seen around the place. And it's also, because it's off kickoff, players are always going to be in front, which makes it a bit more of a interesting one. I think Argentina are trying to ask, it becomes a penalty for New Zealand. And then one of the New Zealand players getting told off there for celebrating too loudly. New Zealand take the quick tap, and now running through Micah Muliaina. They can still get a bonus point from this game. 2 minutes, says Pigeon Boy. I don't think the win's on the cards anymore, though. There's 90 seconds left on the clock, and New Zealand have to go 75 metres. Micah Muliaina, ball on the outside. Tell you what, they're in open space with a pass, one more. Moving up to the halfway line, Argentina just need to have one big moment to get the steal. Going short side, trying to get the advantage. Didn't work out, and Argentina on the ball. They don't get the turnover. What is the score right now? The score is 25-17. The scoreboard doesn't want to update. But New Zealand with the chip of eye. Micah Muliaina bounces up for him now. 25 metres out from the line. Couldn't quite get his next pass away. New Zealand may actually decide to turn down the chance of a two-pointer if they were to score right here, right now. They've got the numbers too. It was almost a deliberate knockdown from the Argentines. 58 seconds now remaining. That extra 40 seconds that they sat waiting for the kick to be taken for New Zealand before disallowing the try. That may come back to bite the Kiwis. There's a new advantage. Do they take the 3 here? I don't think it would be a guarantee. Now offload. Sitting 40 seconds on the clock. Argentina told to get onside. New Zealand need to break the line, and they need to break it now if they want any chance of winning. But a try here would get them the bonus point either way. They're going to go for the chip and behind. It's charged down. They had the penalty advantage, and Argentina kicked the ball away. And that is strategic. And it is smart from the Argentines, as by booting that ball way away, it means that there won't be enough time to be able to go for another play. No try. The kick was forward, says Ronald there. We've been massive if the ABs pull this off, although they now have no time. Okay. They're finding the new mark because of Argentina kicking the ball away. It does not take the time that it wasted away, though. 10 seconds remain now for New Zealand. What do you do in this scenario? They're going to try and tap and go quickly. They have 7 seconds to get over the try line. It's a great bit of defense from Argentina. New Zealand now popping the ball up. It was a no-look pass. It backfires. Argentina, they kick it down the middle of the field rather than kicking it into touch. So this game will not be over. And New Zealand still have a chance of a losing bonus point, but this game will be won by the Pumas. Passed on the outside for Logan Williams. Can they get something on the board that gets them that little bit closer to still having a chance of defending their Rugby Championship? It's been some of the better passing we've seen from New Zealand in this last about maybe 10 minutes or so, but Argentina, they have that lead, the crucial one as well, with some beautiful tries, and that one's got into touch. New Zealand will lose by 8. Argentina victorious here in South Africa, 25 points to 17. The Rugby Championship is still well and truly alive, ladies and gentlemen, and now the big game around the corner. I will mention it again. If South Africa beat Australia with a bonus point, they win the Rugby Championship under-20s with 1 game remaining. Kick the 3 first, then fight for the try with seconds remaining. Keeping ball in hand, says Roger. I think the only thing that hurt them there was the kicking percentage, and that might have been the reason that they didn't look towards that as a potential option. If it ends the score, New Zealand get no points. Correct, yes. So Australia get 4, New Zealand get 0. From this one. Awesome, Argentina, vamos, says WLK, and well played, Pumitas. And tell you what, I mentioned it earlier on, I'll mention it again. This is more likely to be the side that take on Australia. This is the side that should have played South Africa, as they have brought a bench in the impact, or the impact off the bench up against the South Africans last week, and now they have brought their best game and a very strong showing up against New Zealand in this contest. Just the 2 players in the starting lineup, the same as the game last week. They've got some decent depth by the looks of it. They've got to try and use it now in their next game up against the Aussies. But nonetheless, we've got 7 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, until that next game does get underway. That'll be South Africa versus Australia. We will be covering that one on the channel too, but I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you all for the next one.